Welcome, podcast listeners and viewers, and thank you for joining us on the LightWave Digest podcast, episode 10. We are here to bring you all the news, reviews, interviews on everything LightWave and beyond. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Hello, Andrew, and this is a new episode. And it's a very special episode. It's episode 10.
Wow, is that many already? Wow, it's flown. It has flown.
And we have a fantastic guest, of course. And this time it's going to be Taron, who is a legend.
An absolute legend.
Now, just so for you listeners, we need to mention that Andrew had a little bit of a hiccup when it comes to the audio recording. So his sound or his voice is going to be sounding a bit off for that one.
Sound a bit like a robot. Beep, boop, boop.
Yeah, the funny thing is that Andrew had two tracks that were recorded. His desktop audio that contained my voice and Taron's voice. And then another recording on another channel, he had all three of us at the same time. So I had to figure things out and actually extract Andrew's voice from that. So that's the processing of that made his audio quality lower. So keep that in mind when you listen to the interview.
Sorry about that. I done goofed.
Things happens, and we have technical tools to solve this stuff. But
we have the magic of AI fixed it all.
Well, in this case, not AI, but other processing tools. But hey, AI will solve this in minutes in the future for sure. Now, I want to ask you, how have your month been?
Busy, very busy at work. So I have not had a lot of time to play in 3D as much as I would have liked. I'm going to have to put my foot down, I think, at some point and maybe have some time off or something and get back into it. But I have had a very busy time of it. How have you been?
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, I'm working on the Star Wars game, Outlaws. Shout out Star Wars Outlaws. Woo. Yep. Woohoo. And
very exciting.
Yeah. And it's not been as busy as it used to be. Things are starting to calm down a little bit. So I'm also sort of moving into the realms of 3D rendering again, using Houdini and Redshift, and getting back into that render wrangling thing that I really love to do.
I hear very good things about Redshift these days, even though it has been bought out by Maxon.
Yeah,
which is it's not a company I especially like on the way they handle like pricing and stuff.
Yeah, the rental stuff is one of the things as a person. You know, if I would be a freelancer, I wouldn't like that. I would want to have perpetual licenses for everything I use, right? Which is a nice segue to LightWave, because I know that you have noticed something with the sketch color in modular.
That's not a great segue, but never mind. This is just something that we were having a chat about this, and there is actually a way of saving on file spacing in LightWave, which people apparently, I think I heard this off somebody else, and I'll not mention his name here because he wants to be shy, but he knows who he is. Many moons ago, and there is a thing in LightWave called Sketch Color. It is in Modeler, into preference. But the weird thing is if you set it to none, it actually saves a good chunk of the file size.
Okay.
So basically, if you go into let me just pop open my modeler interface. Currently, it lives in the detail tab under polygons more because it's a bit obscure. It's changed sketch color. I usually have mine set to dark blue because I just kind of like that look. You can set it to none and save out your mesh, and it'll probably be about 20% smaller. It's quite a big chunk of data because each sketch color is saved in a vertex mesh, a vertex data of the mesh, and it eats up quite a lot of extra memory. I prefer the look with it, but if you want to save a bit of memory on LightWave, that's how you can do it.
Oh wow!
Crazy but true.
Is this exponential as well? So the more edges you have on a model, the heavier it will become, right?
That's right. Because it's a vertex data. It's either saved to the edge or the point or whatever. It just increases the size of the mesh. So the more polygons you have, the more edges that will save with that. I think you could even set it per layer, but it's only really visible in modeler. Layout has it. Layout does it differently because you can set the wireframe color for each object, so that it would ignore the sketch color. So it's a little bit annoying for me because I'd rather have it be just a global preferences and then save a lot of memory.
Okay. So essentially, I want edges to be displayed as a red. All
on my but so it's silly that it's not a preferences color. It's it's saved per mesh, per vertex, per point.
Wow.
Which it takes a lot of extra memory up and a lot of extra unnecessarily so, if you ask me. Maybe they can change this in the future. I don't know. But layout doesn't necessarily have this issue because you set the display wireframe edge color in the object itself, in the scene editor. But modeler can have different sketch colors, presumably per layer or per polygon if you were to make a selection, change sketch color. But personally, I never actually change it from the default, so I'd quite like it to be a global color.
Oh, okay, but then I think that the sketch color could also be used, since essentially it's a vertex map, right?
Yes.
It could be used for selections as well, right?
Perhaps it could be, but I'm not sure that it actually displays in the... Let us see if I select a polygon and hit info. Oh yeah, actually it does. It shows in the polygon info, the color shows as dark blue, but I don't know if I can select by it. Actually, it is. It is selectable. So you can, if you go to the polygon statistics, I can select by color. So yes, wow. You can actually select by that vertex information. So that's interesting. So you did set the sketch color to be different on different pieces of mesh. Then you can select using it. So we now know something more.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Although I think that might just be point data. Yes, it's only on polygons. Yes, so it's a polygon attribute.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how it's actually saved, but yes, you could select by polygon attribute in the statistics panel. Oh, it's W. The shortcut for that is W. That's one of the ones I normally have open because it's so useful to be able to select things.
Oh,
using statistics.
With that said, let's move on to the news.
Yes. So what is new in LightWave land today?
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's been quite silent.
It has.
LightWave Digital, they have posted some new video tutorials on their LightWave 3D YouTube channel. I haven't watched them. Have you had time to?
I haven't had a chance to. No.
Also, a very surprising thing happened, and that was that VizRT restored the old LightWave forums on their new forum page.
They did. Very exciting.
I don't know how much is working or not, but at least you can go in there, and I think images and stuff like that are still kept there. But yeah, it's sort of like a very good archive of old information for, you know, tutorials and stuff like that. But how long will they keep it? That's the main question.
It is, and I don't think we know that answer. I mean, from what I understand, the new LightWave group, when they made the discussions with VizRT, there were technical reasons as to why they couldn't easily separate out the LightWave Forum from the NewTek forum, basically, because it was all one and the same. Obviously, originally when it was conceived, it was just one giant database, and so if they it's not even a technical thing, it's also kind of like a licensing and copyright thing, because they can't just hand over part of the database, because it might, you might have had, say, it's hypothetical here, someone could have posted to both NewTek, one of the other products, like the NDI system, or the
TriCaster and stuff like that.
TriCaster and all of that, and LightWave, and so they can't separate out that data because it's not like a wholly separate system. It's like it was just one giant forum. And because of they can't really legally hand it over, because it would contain their customers and their separate license holders. And at the same time, they're obviously not in any way beholden to LightWave to keep that open. So the fact that it's available and at the moment is great if you happen to want to look at old stuff, but I don't think they're going to keep it open. It might just simply be closed. It's only, I think, because they did a forum software update that possibly is why it's no longer being locked, but I think it'll probably come back. I don't know. This is just me conjecturizing, yeah. But I wouldn't bank on it remaining, because, of course, VizRT no longer even has the license to support or maintain that product information, and so they aren't beholden to keep it, unfortunately, and it may be just simply a niceness on behalf of the company, because of goodwill. They've kind of restored the database. It may be temporary, it may be they're going to turn it off again. I don't know, and unfortunately they have not been forthcoming on why it came back, but I would not rely on it. But hopefully, fingers crossed, the best case scenario here is that they allow it to remain in an archival format, so that people can at least go back and look at old threads, because there's still some good information on pieces of that that old forum, in between all of the thousands and thousands of posts of nonsense. There's definitely still some gold hidden in there, the needle in the haystack. But so fingers crossed they will keep that open, but if not, we can understand, and we're still hopeful that eventually the LightWave team will be able to make a proper forum, which they have said they will. It's just a question of when they get the developer resources to put it together, because of course they will have to try and tie licenses with users, with forum names, all that kind of stuff, and it can be a little bit really complicated. I mean, look at how difficult it was for them to process all the old customers, because they're trying to it's a mixture of NewTek customers and products and VizRT. Luckily they were able to get the customers, but it took them a while to wrangle that database into something that was, capable of being, just the product correct data, and make sure everybody had their licenses, which obviously is way more important for them as a company than the forum. And that took quite a while. Making sure that people get what they pay for, 100% the most important thing that they can do. Supporting old customers, less so, but obviously super important. That's the team brought that ethic across from NewTek, which good on them, and that it's one of the reasons why I am happy to support them. It means that I have access to my old products, which are super handy. I can still download old versions, even though I don't even know if I have machines that will run them anymore. But that's another issue. Because at some point, I'm sure Microsoft will screw up all the drivers or something, and it won't run. Certainly, we'll have problems with people running old versions of LightWave on the Mac because they change their display technology every other week. It's like changing their socks, isn't it? Oh, we're no longer running Intel. We all run on this thing. Apple Silicon. I mean, and then PowerPC before Intel, and then the the 040 chips. I mean, actually, I do still think that it may be interesting to see what goes on with regards to not specifically Apple Silicon, but it looks like several developers are developing ARM chips for the PC. That's become a huge thing, and I think in the next few years, I think there'll be a competition between who can bring out the newest, fastest, best performing single chip solution that's based on the ARM platform. x86 might go away. Who knows? Is there anything else? I'm trying to think. Is there anything other exciting news?
No, I don't think so.
There is.
Oh?
There is one thing. Yes. The May the 4th be with you.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yes, so there was a piece of information that there may be news coming out on May the 4th, which is just 2 weeks around the corner from the time of recording, and possibly not long when this is released. So we will hopefully be hearing some new news from LightWave, what's coming in the future, sneak peeks, new exciting things coming.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, this...
Or maybe not, and it'll be egg on our face.
Yeah, that is a chance that happens as well, but I don't think so, because I think May the 4th is a big thing for LightWave Digital.
It's a big nerd holiday, isn't it? Really, May the 4th. It's the old pun, isn't it? May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's an important one, and it's when was the exact purchase date? I recall that was around May, wasn't it, when they made the big announcement? So it may tie into
May
that.
the 4th was the big reveal from LightWave Digital that they had bought LightWave from VizRT. So I would be surprised if they don't have anything to share for us LightWave users on May the 4th.
So that's something for everybody to look forward to.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's time to move on and stop talking about nonsense. Let's go and talk to Taron in my incredible robot voice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the interview.
And enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to tonight's guest. He has been on hiatus from 3D for many years, but he was the Bob Ross of LightWave subpatch organic modeling. Welcome, Taron.
Hi, everyone. I didn't know I was like Bob Ross back then already.
Yeah. I mean, if you will notice that when you watch the Gnomon tutorial, because you are sort of talking. When you model, you essentially say, "Oh, I did this, and it enforced me to do this and that," and it's super nice. It's super nice actually. and a very unique way of actually doing a tutorial as well, to be honest.
Thank you very much. That would be an interesting moment to give a little teaser already, because I am planning to make new ones again.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah. That's kind of what brought us together to actually here now, because
that's true.
Yeah. I got asked about my old tutorial, which I did not have anymore, and so I figured maybe I just make some new ones. And Sammy, the guy who got me into that, was so excited that I couldn't say no, and here we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is super cool. I mean, you have such a great history with LightWave, and before we go into that, though, I usually want to learn more about you growing up as a child. What made you come into computers? What was the first sort of computer you experienced? And let's just go back in memory lanes and tell us.
Oh yeah, that's one of my exactly. It's one of my all-time favorite stories because I was 14 and my father was still alive then, and we were watching TV. And on the TV, there was a commercial running for the Commodore C16.
Oh.
And I was quietly sitting in the back, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so good. And my father turned around, like, do you want one? Like, do I what? No, really, do you want one? And I was like, yeah. And so he went, in my memory, the next day, and we got a Commodore C16.
Wow.
And yeah, that was, for me, it was mind blowing. It's like probably, it's one of my happiest childhood memories, just because of the spontaneity of it. And my father was very calculated, because he felt like this would be an important thing one day. And I'm going to, send my son off into a bright future or something. I don't know what he was thinking. And probably that. So, yeah. And then, and I got, I started, there was nothing on it, so I started programming on it, basic first, and then doing little graphic stuff. And then I knew that my friends, they had a C64. And so I was like, maybe I should, now that I got the C16. So it was probably a year later, barely a year later. I was like, there's a C64. I should have that. And he was saying, isn't there a better one? Yeah, C128. But I don't want it. I want the 64. I was like, no, you gotta get the 128. Also, you must know, we weren't rich. In fact, we were rather poor. So that's another thing. So yeah. And he insisted. And it was just shortly before the Amiga came out, but never mind that. But so I had a 128 and then got myself a final cartridge. So 64. Anyhow, so that's where I really started to program disassembler, then started with the pixel graphics, started with the music. And at that time at school, there was a practical year type of program, and I went to a company that would do computer-based training. That was before the term multimedia was out there. And so I was like, maybe, that's computer related, so let's do that. And so I went there and I saw some graphics on the screen, and I thought they looked horrible. And I was like, what did you really want to have there? And I went ahead and just, realized, what I thought would look better. And they went all crazy. I was like, oh my God, he's 15. He will do it for nothing. Let's hire him. And so that's how I got actually started at that age with 15 to work professionally on computer graphics, yeah. And I earned enough money to then buy myself, this one here. This is my first synthesizer, the M1.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
You
From the
still have
M1,
them.
and now I'm on the M1 Mac. Anyway,
Full circle.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. They make me very happy. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a bit on the fritz. Actually, everything I have is a bit on the fritz. So, but anyhow, except the M1, this M1, not this, where were we? Yes. So I did that, and then in that later, then I was like 18, I think. that's when I went to the newspaper store or whatever and saw this magazine that had Reflections, the 3D software for the Amiga. And I got it and then played around with it. Oh, that's exciting. And but it's not good enough. I need something else. Oh, real 3D. Oh, very cool. And that was very exhausting, all splines and all that. But then I saw this, LightWave. What is this? And then I saw these. What was this? The Ron Thornton did this for that Xena
Babylon 5
show. No, not Babylon. That was way long before Babylon 5. I think way long. Yeah, Xena, the warrior princess. Who
right, yes,
and I think
exactly.
And he did these. What are they called? The cap one head off and another one grows.
Hydra,
exactly. Yeah, kind of like a Hydra. And I thought, oh, this looks promising. I can do something with it. And that's how I desperately fell in love with LightWave. I realized what you could do with subdivisions. That was pre-meta-NURBS. That was when you still had to, do your meta-NURBS subdivision, so to say. You couldn't really in real time do that. And yeah, that was the roller coaster tutorial. Remember that? The roller coaster car? That was with subdivision, subdividing.
I think so.
Yeah, and I saw that.
Cast my memory back.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. But I remember that distinctly because I thought, this is the method in which I can do something. And then I explored it to make characters and then I realized, this is probably also how Ron Thornton did his stuff. But I don't know if that's true. I've never asked him, but I've met him and we became friends right after we pissed each other off. And then it was great. He was such a...
That's often how friendships begin, sometimes.
Yeah, oh yeah. We're jumping a bit, but maybe we get to that later, I don't know. But so that was it. And then I started to introduce this 3D stuff to the company that I was doing my stuff for. And they went all, oh my God, but now he wants money. And so, anyhow. Then I got other clients. Oh, that was the weirdest thing. I used to really, I was a child, so I was like, what, $12 an hour? And then a client from them called me up and said, oh, can you do something for us? I don't know. And he was asking me what I want. And I was like being all super naughty. And I thought like, maybe $30 an hour. And he was laughing. He's like, oh, yeah, immediately, no problem. It was funny back then. And I was all excited, and they were even more excited because it was still that cheap for what it was. Anyhow, so there was that. But that was in Germany. So it's a different thing. And it was not dollars. It was D-Mark. That was even pre-Euro. So that would be $15 equivalent. So in other words, I was asking for nothing for what that stuff was because I would design entire software. I would, from the UI to everything in it and whatever. And I have absolutely no memory what it was back then. But I forgot. Oh my God, I had so many funny things happening. Anyhow, I would also do advertising games, all pixel graphics actually back then, and the music for it. And it was fun.
Was that still on the Amiga computer?
Yes, that was on the that was on the Amiga. That was on the Amiga. But at the same time, there was the time of the migration to the PC, and I forgot why the heck this even happened. But it was a must. I remember that. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. Gosh, anyhow. So then I had both these computers, and I'm gesturing just because I had the setup where this would be my Amiga, and then behind me would be the PC. Yeah. We had a very narrow little room in a freaking beautiful little apartment, actually. But anyhow, so, but by then I was 19, and with 21, I officially made myself a freelancer because I knew I had to, and then it didn't take long. Then the internet would come around, and I would start to show my LightWave fun stuff, in the year before. Oh my God! And it's getting a little jumbled, but I think it might have been around 96. I went to the CeBIT in Hanover. That was a big trade show. Yeah. And I wasn't sleeping for 3 days before, and then drove all the way from Frankfurt to Hanover. And that was insane. Almost crashed. I was sideways on the freeway. Anyhow, so there I met NewTek for the first time because I really wanted to go to the booth and say hi. And so that's how I got connected to NewTek with Chris Schreiner back then, if you remember her. And that was fun. It was interesting. Yeah, anyhow. Anyway, that was her name back then. Now she has a different one. And it's so fun. No. So funny stuff, and we got then connected, and then when I released my stuff to galleries online, back then there weren't many. I forgot what it was. Was it 3D Cafe or something like that?
Oh yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah. In the early days, long before most of our audience were born. Oh no, we're all LightWave users. We're
all born. We're just too old. We can't remember. It's too long ago.
He who got me into that wasn't. No. Yeah. So yeah. So I was making this female torso. She was basically nude, but I gave her then some sort of brass bra, but you could see her nipples. And I was like, oh my god! But it was fun. It was very nice. And then so NewTek said, oh, we're gonna make the Joy of 6, LightWave 6. Oh, little on the nose, but then I had to put nipple caps on. Anyhow, so that was fun.
Wow.
And oh god, the olden days. Yes. And then they asked me to do the new LightWave logo for LightWave 6, yeah. And that's what I made. That's what, and you're still using it. And I was like, oh my god, it's still that.
Oh, so nice. Yeah, that's super nice.
Yeah. Initially, I had in the little squiggle in the middle. At first, I had it as an embryo. It was like, it's making something alive. It's like, no, you can't do that. But okay, well, squiggle it is. But it looked great.
Something's occurred to me, actually, and I don't want to put on you in case you decide not to, but maybe you could design a new logo for the new company.
Oh, dear Lord. Well, we can talk about this.
That's no pressure, but it just occurred to me, if you designed that one, maybe you could
Let's see if I still got it.
Yeah, oh, I know. It's firing up the old rusty skills.
I mean, I'm getting into that groove right now. So, but on the other hand, I think the logo works great. What you've done with it, I don't know. I wouldn't change a thing, I think. Plus, I wanted to make a little joke in my tutorial video, but I don't know if I get to it. But it's so funny. Oh my god! Wish I could pull this off. But yeah, no, I want to make also a little bit of a lighthearted intro to the whole modeling tutorial series that is going to come, because that's what I'm planning to do. And actually, this may get a little Bob Rossi in a way, because I think people might enjoy just seeing, the modeling technique in action with anything. Yeah, and it's a fun thing. I love doing it, so I'm pretty sure some people might enjoy, looking over my shoulder for that, and so yeah. So yeah, this is my great plan. But we really,
I really look forward to buying that stuff, because
you don't need to buy that stuff. I'm going to put this out for free. It's going to go on YouTube. Oh yeah.
Oh wow. That's super nice of you.
Are you possibly going to work with LightWave themselves then? Because they're putting out a load of new tutorials. They're trying to get the users together. They've asked me. I'll have to try and remember how to do everything. They've asked me to do some stuff on Nodes. But, get in touch with Juice. They're trying to put together, like getting all the gang back together and putting together tutorials. So maybe you could work with them. Maybe. No pressure.
Hopefully not.
No, not at all.
No, the point is, I'm still so old school, I'd be worried. It's like, I don't know what other... I just now found out that they have a Cutmull Clark mode instead of just subpatch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, what is this? What is this crazy voodoo shit? And then it looks great. And but I, in my videos I will actually use it and also talk about it because it has also some disadvantages.
It has issues.
Yeah, well, yes, it has quite a few. And one of the most nastiest one to me is its interaction with ZBrush. Because I just now realized I could get ZBrush back to life on my machine, and I got it. I got my license transferred, and it's all working again. And I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited! I got ZBrush again!" And then I got all sorts of PTSD so and so the Catmull Clark stuff is not quite sitting well with the displacements.
The UV doesn't always work quite right, does it?
Well, no, it goes in other directions than the old smoothing that they still kind of... I don't know if there's some weird... I still have to figure out a bunch of things with LightWave. That's another reason for why I would be very hesitant to say, I'm going to make tutorials with your software. I know it so well. Because I was on Messiah for the longest time, of course, and we designed it. Well, I'm also around my habits anyhow. and it was so incredibly direct when it comes to displacement. Like and it would know when, for example, your displacement maps are of higher detail than could be displaced, and it automatically would introduce the finer details as bump. So you didn't have to do anything. It just instantly.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And the natural way of how expressions were hooked up would make it such an easy thing to just, instead of having, your morph mixer, you could actually just have a whole bone rig and tell, like, if a bone stretches, then a different displacement map fades in. And so you can have these patched pieces of displacements that would just automatically go with whatever you had your rig do. And and I was I'm like spoiled, like a spoiled brat. It's like, this is totally normal for me. It's like, today I was looking for videos I could give you some content, and I saw, oh my god, I still have some old Messiah stuff. I can't show that. That would be weird. But anyhow, so I looked through it, and there's some crazy stuff. And I'm saying stuff because I find shit so vulgar. But there's some crazy stuff. And among it was a simple box that was then displaced. And then out of the displacement came the feet, and the feet would walk. And there was a whole face, and it was just a flipping box.
Technically, that's really quite complicated.
And it wasn't complicated.
We should hand that stuff over, and you never know. Maybe we can inspire the new coders in LightWave, because they're looking to be, pushing the envelope and getting new technology, not just sitting on what LightWave used to do. So definitely.
That's what I'm excited about, because I had the feel, okay, here's a new gang. Somehow I had the feeling, NewTek might have held them back a little bit eventually. I don't know. Whatever the deal was, I don't know. But it felt like they were a little locked into heritage and stuff. Not sure if it's true. Doesn't flipping matter. It feels like now you're ready to go to the next level because you must.
Yeah,
it's the situation. Come on, look at it. I'm sorry. I look at Blender, and I must say, very current looking and performs quite well. But it doesn't have a nice symmetry mode. It has interesting stuff, but it's not. There's something missing, and lucky for there's something missing, and that's why. It wouldn't quite replace what good old LightWave always had. Always. Because throughout my entire career, that's a nice bit. But throughout my entire career, I stuck with LightWave because it was, and it still is, the fastest organic modeling environment there is. I know a bunch, but it still is. It's so easygoing. It's like a breeze. And it's not like one of those, because you're a wizard with the software and you know all that, nobody can watch your fingers because they fly. No, it's not like that. It's just a few functions that are enough and the thing performs. And so you can, with very few functions, create anything you want just on a whim. And that's why, and it never changed, that it was always like that. It was just brilliant.
Which is why I think your information is invaluable, because there's probably stuff that you can do, because it's not
about the tool per se, it's about the thought process behind it. And I think if you can open your horizons to actually you're overthinking it, you're thinking some complicated technical way of doing it, like no, you just do this, and this, which is what LightWave has always been very good at doing. Thinking around the problem, thinking outside the box. Those things are invaluable for, I think, still today. So
yeah, I mean, just as I said, LightWave has always been fast, not just in modeling, organic modeling, but I do know that pretty much everyone that we've had on so far say that LightWave is a fast tool, and it's easy to use, and it's very easy to just make things up and then put it out, and the turnaround is very fast, and everyone so far has said that, So it's nice to hear you talking about LightWave being fast from a organic modeling point of view, because that's the thing that everyone so far have talked about, how fast it is to do layout work with cameras, lights, all that stuff. But you're probably the first one that actually mentioned how fast it is to actually do organic modeling with sub-D or sub-patch techniques and box modeling, as it's called, right?
Well, yeah, not an awful term, but yes.
Yeah,
box modeling.
Yeah, it sounds weird, but you essentially start with a box and then you just do things sub-D here, blah blah blah. You started as a freelancer when you were 21, 22 or something like that?
Yes.
And then you ended up in the States.
Yeah. That was after the whole NewTek thing and the Giraffe 6, I think, and then it came the infamous call from Hollywood. But I didn't get one, I get two calls. But anyhow, so then Station X Studios invited me over, and Alan Chan, back then he called. And Alan Chan had already a slightly broken accent, and I, for the first time, had to listen to someone in English. I was like, please try to understand. Anyhow, so it was funny. It was exciting. And I said, yes, sure, of course, yes. No, why not? But at the same time, Computer Café, later Café FX, asked me to join them. Yeah. And Jeff Barnes he was just on another level, like this brilliant networker, brilliant, like you fall in love with him when you meet him, and it's kind of like such a nice guy. And it was so difficult for me to say, but Station X invited me, and he knew it, and so anyhow, so I went to Station X and stayed with them until they basically started to kind of tumble over, and they had to clear out the shop, so to say. And so that was like the perfect opportunity to go and join Computer Café, and I was like, oh my god, I'm coming home. I never knew it, but it was my home now. And it was with the people, with my heart. It was like family to me back then. I really, really loved them. And I mean, it sounds so like, but it's true. I don't know, there was something about it. They were so, they like to see down to earth, but I don't know what this means. Who of us has the chance not to be? Anyhow, so there we go. But let's not talk about fake moon landings. Anyway, so yeah. I loved the atmosphere and everything. And they opened an office in Los Angeles back then, and I could not, for the life of me, get my wife to move to Santa Maria. That was
yes,
very, very scary for us then.
Did you ever meet David Ridlon?
Well, David, forgive me, but I don't remember.
I think it was the visual effects supervisor on one of Café FX big thing. What was God? I had the name of the movie in my head and then it just disappeared. Damn it!
Not Flubber.
No, not Flubber. It was later on, I guess.
Favorite Martian? No, wait a second. What was it? Oh, later. Oh, I don't think there was a time so the story of Computer Café was, first we were in Santa Monica in the office there was an office. Yep. And then they joined with the syndicate
Oh yes, the Syndicate. I remember they did like Buffy. Did they do Buffy?
No. Probably, I don't know, maybe, yeah, but with like just I suppose color and stuff. I don't know. They didn't do 3D themselves, I think, but then with Café they would. And so they joined together. And oh my God, I realize how little I like to talk about these things. Because I'm like, if I don't watch out, bridges are gonna burn. But anyhow, but however, the atmosphere changed. And then they started a big studio in Santa Maria, and they did other big movies, and it was tumultuous. I don't know. We were like, yeah, and yeah, and so part of it I would have no idea about, because we were kind of in our enclave, in our island a little bit. And yeah, that was kind of an Atlantis of sorts, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I do know that they did Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes,
yes, that was such a good film.
Oh, that was so nasty. I mean, they knew I would have loved it, but I was doing something else, and it was really unfortunate. Because before
that would be right up your street, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, dangerously so. But that was a bit of a theme, because the dangerously so thing was a bit of a theme, because I got on with all the clients very well. Because why? Because I just love what I do. That's it. I don't care. I love what I do, and I love that I can do it for people who can appreciate it. And back then I was also rather, let's say, not naive too, but also it didn't matter to me so much what it's for. And when it started to matter, and then we come to my Ron Thornton connection. But hang on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. So I did, we already moved in with the Syndicate behind 3rd Street in Santa Monica, and Gothica came around, and that was a movie with Halle Berry and Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if you Gothica?
I've seen it. I've heard of it.
I think I've seen it. It rings a bell. But now, Sin City was the movie that I was talking about.
I was going to say Marv. Yes, Sin City. Yeah. I don't think I had any part in that. That was all.
Probably this is later than when I guess you had left Café FX
already. Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. So Gothica. Yeah. It was interesting, and
I've seen it.
And for that, I have back then, I would always write the code for the effects. I started programming, of course, did a lot of shading stuff, and then we needed fire. So then I wrote flipping fluid dynamic fire. And that was the first one of its kind, fully digital fluid dynamic flipping fire. And I didn't know I could, but they were absolutely certain I would. and nice. So then I would be completely crazy. It was insane. It was such an insane experience. It was so stressful. And that, what's his name again? I'm so sorry. The director of it, Kosovitz. And he was such a he played the love interest in the film Amélie. Remember Amélie?
Oh, I love Amélie. That's such a good film.
And the love interest, the guy, that was him, Mathieu. Yeah, Mathieu Kosovitz, that's him.
Oh wow!
And he was the director of Gothica. And he came over, and he's like half a head smaller than me, and he pinned me against the wall, but like lovingly. And I was like, oh my God, is it cocaine? And he said, you're going to make it, the fire look beautiful. And I think, oh, yes, of course I will. Let's get to it. So yeah, needless to say, it was rather stressful. And then, but then came lots of ugly things, because, it's like, oh, for the fire, and how we can monetize this. And so, it went a bit ugly and crazy and insane. And I don't... sad thing, it annoyed the heck out of me, because I would have and did give everything I had to make these things happen, and so anyhow, but that was kind of like I don't know what you call it, not a nail in a coffin, but it's very close to that. And then slowly all of that stuff, I developed a different eye for it. I don't know. looked at things differently. And then, okay, let's jump to the Ron Thornton thing, because that's the fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
He joined after, for me, inconceivable that he, lost his studio and with the Babylon 5 stuff, and then the Starship Troopers or what it was that he did.
Yeah, the animated series.
Yeah. And I used to absolutely love the movie, and I thought the show was fun. Anyhow, but yeah, so they closed the doors, and then he went as an employee to Café FX. I was completely thrown by it. I was like, wow, that's weird. How the mighty have fallen. Anyhow, there he was, and he was supposed to supervise a commercial. And there were these like toy soldiers, and these toy soldiers, it's a children's commercial, and they were supposed to have flamethrowers and burn each other up. And I was like, fuck no, I'm not going to make something, first of all, when I do something, I'm not going to make it work. And if I'm going to make this work for a children's commercial where they freaking burn each other, I'm like, no. And he called me a pretentious Euro twat. And so I told him he has absolutely nil integrity. And so we fell in love.
Wow.
So that was great.
Wow.
It was funny as hell. Yeah. So he was really a great guy. And then he, later on, I left Café FX and I became also a freelancer again in America, which was kind of wonderful and tricky. And as a freelancer, I worked on the Ghost Rider, one sequel of it, for Computer Cafe. It was funny. I was like, you really have to pay now. So that was fun. And so Ron went to live in Florida.
Oh.
Yes, and then he lived there, and he had like a Russian wife with a son, and really sweet. And I worked as a freelancer for some theme park rides, like projection stuff. That was really it was super fun for a good time.
Yeah, make like the 3D wraparound images that go projected onto the theme park. Yeah, that's
absolutely
really
that.
cool.
Yeah. And then also I got the Visual Effects Society Award nomination for the 3D projection camera I wrote for that stuff, for the Turtle Trek or whatever it was called in SeaWorld.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
I kind of remember something about that on one of the NewTek sites, actually.
That would be funny because it was in the side. But anyhow, but that was great. I totally ignored it because you needed to become a member, and I didn't want to, and it was like, I don't have anything. By that time, I was like, it's all propaganda anyway. It's like, I'll be gone. And then now I have a whole different appreciation for that for different reasons. I don't know if we should go into that, but for different reasons, I appreciate what is being done in the entire entertainment world and all that. I believe I understand its purpose, and it's quite a big sacrifice that I'm not willing to make. That's why it's like, oh no, it's fine. Good. I'm an artist. That's it. I make art. I like to connect with people, not program people. So, and also engage them, to make them to let them be artists. That's the whole point, because that's our way of manifesting and revealing things that are from our soul. So that way we can really connect and really integrate each other and reveal each other to each other. And artists have this unique extra opportunity if they manage to be sincere and truthful. And I'm hitting my mic. It's a sign. And so I want to enable that. And I always wanted that, and that's why I went away from all of this nonsense of showering people with stuff, and rather create tools instead. And then Well, with Messiah, that went all sideways too, because, I don't know, it just sort of faded. No idea how it happened, but it did. And I think it was also because everyone went somewhere else. My wife and I, we decided to move to Croatia back then to say, goodbye to all this nonsense and let's chill.
Yeah.
And we did. It was great. And yeah, and I think it was like 2011 or something like that. That's when I started to write Verve, which was funny because it was an aftermath of fluid dynamics. The first time I wrote, fire with it, and then I got burned. I was like, I'm never gonna talk that shit again. Anyhow,
irony.
Natural somehow. So but then So Thomas Patterson, we talked about him, right? Dr. Petter, he wrote Sculptris, and I absolutely adored it. I fell in love with that immediately. And so also we became really, really, really good friends. We're still really good friends. In a distance, but I wish it was different because having him around is wonderful. It's great energy. Anyhow, so he was like similar to me, a jack of all trades in a way, a great artist actually, and a great musician too. So we were very kindred spirits. And he, I don't know, was like, hey, I started to write my own programming language. Do you want to try it? It's like, what? But let me try it. And so I tried it, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. I can use this as a very simple platform to play with OpenGL. And then I played with OpenGL, and I was like, maybe I could touch fluid dynamics again just for fun, a little bit. And I made a little game with fluid dynamics, a little boat flying around and putting paint in the water. And oh shit, I should have some content for that. I don't. It's ages ago. Anyhow, maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe later. So. And I realized the power of those real-time fluids. It worked just amazing. I was blown away by it. It's like I was blowing myself away. That sounds totally wrong. but it's what happened. And it's like so this GL blew me away. And then I was like, oh wait, maybe I could actually make a painter with it. And it was actually Dr. Petter's own programming language that made me start doing fluid dynamics with GL and then make Verve. So it's funny how that all works. And so then I started doing Verve, and I was completely over the moon, and made some YouTube videos for demoing it, and it was wonderfully received. People were so sweet, except for one guy who said, "What's with a German accent? I don't even know what he's saying. Just don't listen to him."
What? So is that the painting program that actually lives in the web browser?
That's rather new. That's Vervette. I just recently started. I recently realized. Oh, hang on now. It's, oh my God, it's freaking blazing on the M1. I mean, I don't know Mac commercial, but dang it, it's incredible. It just blew me away. So I was starting to make a web front end. That's out there, Vervette. I have the version out there. But it was just also, again, Verve itself is a laboratory environment. It wasn't meant to be like that forever. It was just for me. But I also like it picky. So anyhow, it looks kind of nice, but it's difficult to use for people who don't know it. But anyway, so and then I thought, oh hey, maybe I can do it in a web browser. And sure enough, it totally works. It's just really nice, except it's 16-bit rather than 32-bit. Which makes the fluids and everything a little, more quantized, so to say. But it works, and it feels great. And I even for myself here, not in the online version, but for myself here, I have pen pressure hooked up and a number of other things, and it works just great. Whenever I need a little break, I just go into Vervette. I'm not kidding. And it's just, but now never mind. I'm getting a bit, I'm all tangents right now. But the point is, right now we need extra power to keep people from getting discouraged regarding the AI, of course. And so it's encouraging still like the artist's DNA to transfer through its motion to your motion, into the art, and to your intuition to really manifest it, rather than asking a robot to do it. Nothing against it. In fact, if you were to show some of the the 2 little clips I gave you for my now LightWave revival.
Yep.
The backgrounds are AI. I was like, oh, fucking fine, there it is. It's funny because that's this like I didn't know, I don't know if you know how it is, but you need a panoramic image, and you go, fuck, a panoramic image. So now you can just ask an AI, spit out a panoramic image, please, and it goes, you don't have to say please. And in fact, it confuses me.
Oh.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
I just have to mention that one of your little 4-legged friends is
yes, behind you.
Yeah, that's so cute. That's so cute.
She needs to be here.
What is his name?
Her name is Yo-Yo.
Her name.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Jojo.
Yep. Yo-Yo, more like the yo-yo. Not Jojo.
Yeah, the Jojo. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just wanted to mention that you had a friend there.
Yeah.
Very quiet. Settled behind you.
Yeah. It's in the evening. It's in the morning when things change.
Yes.
And yeah. Oh yeah, we're in my face like that.
Yeah.
Wake up! Scratch. Yeah. It gets me up.
You have mentioned ZBrush, you have mentioned Messiah Studio. What other tools, 3D or 2D, have you actually learned over the years in, let's say, composing applications, maybe, like After Effects or...
Yeah, mostly After Effects. In fact, my friend Philip Frischluft and we wrote plugins together as well. He wrote plugins a while ago.
Wait, stop there. Frischluft, do you know him?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we're old friends. We were on the Amiga. Him and I, we were in a group on the Amiga, demo scene stuff.
Oh, wow.
That's mental.
Arise.
We used actually Frischluft Lensflare in Nuke many times to do depth of field, post depth of field stuff. Wow.
Is that true? You can see in my little clips I was sending you. And so, it's still the most beautiful one, actually. And he is, he's like, it's too slow. I want it faster. And it's like, yeah, it's maybe, but it looks so freaking great.
It does.
Try it with something else, please. It's still the most beautiful and instantly gratifying depth of field you get. Yeah, it's nice. It's wonderful.
Could you do I know likes of and maybe he's already has that, on, like, for example, Fusion, it does the fuses where it can be written in OpenGL. Could he do an OpenGL version of it?
There's a big struggle, actually, and
is it just the size of the shader type of thing?
It's the nature of it. It's the nature of it. The way he goes about it. It's a very different spirit if you do it by pixel rather than with these parallel GPUs. It's difficult. The different thought process. Yeah, this is oh my god.
I'm not a programmer. I'm just sort of thinking out loud.
Yeah. So the approach, it has to be rethought. But the thing with Philip is he's a genius, and he's often, like, as good geniuses are, they don't really acknowledge that. I don't know what I'm doing.
They're very humble. Most of them are very, very humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I still humble? Please let me.
Oh yeah. I mean, you are very humble.
Yes.
and you are a genius as well. I just want to make sure that you know that. Because when I saw that painting program that was on the web thing, and I tried it out, painting with particles, and there were dynamics going on, and
particles anyway.
But it was this animated thing that happened when you painted.
Yeah, it's very alive. That's the point.
And I mean, I said particles because that was what it felt like.
Yes. Most people think with fluid dynamics rather it was a particle thing.
Yeah. So sorry if I.
No, it's fine. I'm just worried, because if you actually are thinking of a different program, I'm like,
no. It is the one that you mentioned. I know that. But I mean, I was like blown away how fluid it was and fast and that was just in a web browser as well, right? It's like, wow.
It's crazy. It is crazy. It's surreal. If you go full screen, you really instantly forget that you're on a browser, really.
Ah, yeah.
Except I had to, right now on the Mac, when you hold, I have the brush size on control. When you hold down control, but on the Mac, it then thinks it's the second mouse button and gives you the, do you want to save?
The menu.
So
the one Achilles heel of the Macs, the lack of a second mouse button, isn't it?
Yeah, but this one has one and it works just fine on the Mac. So now and rather in Verve, I don't have any custom hotkeys, but on Vervette on the browser, I made everything customizable, and now even that too, and so. Yeah, it works now great, but it's not released, so I still have to do that. And this one I actually want to sell, but different. I want to sell accounts where people then can connect. They don't have to buy it; they can to play with it, to paint with it.
Right.
But if they want to hook up with each other and that kind of stuff, then they buy themselves an account and then they can get some extra stuff for saving and whatever conveniences. But it's really for conveniences that you agree to, and that's why. Because I have changed my understanding of the whole money thing. For the benefit of money, because I used to be really like an anarchist. Like, I don't want money, I don't want any of this and another thing. I just want people to get the stuff, because that's what I'm doing it for. I'm not, it's not what I love doing it. I love being able to share it. So why the hell would I extort people? Oh, you must learn. But now I realize it's an energy exchange, and it makes sense, and also it enables me. And it's like an easy way for people to show gratitude if you have to. But anyhow, but there should always be this kind of thing where nothing keeps people from exploring. And so that's why there's always a free version. That's why also always a free version of Verve, and always then free access to Vervette. And that's the whole idea. That's my like marrying my idealism with the world as it is. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's yours, and you can wash it as fast as you like. Don't
Okay.
Hey, at the end of the day, you are you. You can put yourself out as you, do what you like, and that's fantastic. Actually, I'm going to go and play with it afterwards, I think.
Yes, sure. I wish I could give you the new version, because it has the new version is also ages ago now. After we moved here, we had to get the stuff set up. I didn't have a desk for a while. Anyhow, so a new version is like half a year old anyhow. But I will resume that as well, as I have with Verve. I have resumed programming that. But for that, I have to turn on the PC, because the Mac never had tablet drivers for the environment I've been using. Anyhow. But but Vervette, because it's online, it doesn't flipping matter, and everything works, and it's just magical. So I will really put eventually my focus on that, and then you can get to see that, because that's so much fun. It's unnatural. Yeah.
It's such a unique idea as well. I mean, I haven't never seen anything like that, in any commercial thing.
Did you have software like Rebel, and there was another one. Rebel came much later, I think. But at the same time of Verve, without me knowing it, there was another software in Japan. I forgot what it was called, but it also used fluid dynamics, but it tried to get watercolor. And I literally didn't care about real media. I cared about what the computer can do. So I didn't try to simulate watercolor or oil or whatever.
You just wanted the thing itself, just the enjoyment.
What it does, let it do its thing. Don't put any expectation or requirement in the way of its performance. And that's why it's fast, because it just does what it can do. And I'm not asking it to do anything it cannot do. And that's always my philosophy. That's also why I like LightWave.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice segue back to that, because I mean I know that you have been away from 3D for some time, but let's put it this way: what do you think makes people come back to LightWave if they know LightWave? To come back to using LightWave for as a solution to problems.
Well, there's something very exciting about it, that probably because it was kind of hidden for a while, people might have forgotten that it exists, and they may never know what a great tool it is until now again. And so we can feature that what it can really, really do. And especially also in a connection, of course, with other software. That's the whole point. You want it connected.
Yeah. Yes.
And if LightWave had something like ZBrush inside of it, but right now, that is a very important connection, and that can get a little boost as well. A number of improvements. It's time for them that can happen, and I was almost going to be completely crazy and say, hey, if you want me to, I can help you, but then I was like, no, don't do that. It's scary because you can, and
people have to rely on you, and you have to do what you say.
That's it, exactly. Oh my God, hey, I have other stuff to do.
Yeah, true.
But what, maybe a little thing, just maybe.
No, absolutely. Like especially with a modeler, like I see this and I go crazy. My wife came up with a software for clothing pattern construction. For drafting clothing patterns, yes, and she was, she has a master's degree in I don't know what it's called in English, Schnittdirektrice. I don't know. Anyhow, so she has a master's in that, and along the way she had to learn these very, very expensive software that is there, and she was saying this is completely horrible. Like this is like you can't. I don't know why they even ask people to use it, so like that. And she's like, it should be so much easier. And so I encouraged her. Well, then let's write our own. And so we did. Completely nuts. And it's like 6 years ago now, I think, almost. And she started to learn Java herself to do that, and she did. And now she's a geek like me. I'm so proud.
Nice.
Yes. And so, but I help out, and then I write routines for it. And among the routines is one very simple symmetry mode, where you can pick any axis you wish and say, all right, work symmetrically. And it does.
Yeah, that's true.
On both sides. Naturally. Not like it like one side goes like that and the other one goes like that. That's not symmetry.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how this never changed in like 30 years. I don't know. Like as soon as it showed up. Actually, I think, was it Stuart Ferguson or was it who wrote the modeler first? I forgot.
That's Stuart.
Yeah. So back then it was still on LightWave.
Yep.
And he invited me over, and we looked at. They wanted to watch how I model. And so, yeah, and that was before Spin Quad and all that stuff.
Oh,
and
wow!
Then,
okay.
Yeah. And then because the way I was modeling, he saw how important that was. And then Spin Quad came about, and I think it was about the time. That's when symmetry mode came like at that time. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, symmetry should just be able to work on an arbitrary axis.
Yeah, and arbitrary exactly should be, and also it should work consistently on both sides, not like one is flipped. That's kind of a weird thing. And I remember how he was kind of sort of, what are you saying? I don't know. What's the saying? Squirming around. Like, it can't be done. Like, I don't know. There was some weird thing. I don't know. For some reason, he didn't want to. It was some, like, I don't know what he was writing, but the way he was putting it in, apparently there was a problem. And it apparently never changed. Why, I don't understand. But so, anyhow, long story short, So I did this, and it was completely easy and natural, and no problem whatsoever, because I was like, why would it not be? And then later, when I got hooked up with LightWave again, and then we talked, and I realized, oh my God, if somebody there has still a problem with writing the symmetry code, just give it to me. I'm gonna do it, because it's like nothing. It really. I mean, I know how insane code can look. I know this very well, and it's sometimes quite fascinating. It's like the whole never meet your hero type of thing. It's like never look at the code of someone you respected.
Yeah.
And I make that same recommendation for people, before they would look into my. But it has changed a lot, because now I've got my wife on my case.
It's like never look at a workaround. And what was the workaround? Oh, yeah, no, don't ask.
See, now that would be like the kind of thing you would expect. But if somebody has like a very, very curious sense of organization that is kind of like in an autism spectrum, things can get tragic there as well. It's all very clean, and you find absolutely nothing, or it's all hell to implement. I've seen it all. And a lot of it. So anyhow, yeah, as I said, I've got my wife on my case now, and she really, 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 it's like the whole clean your room type of thing. It's like she really made me organize. Also, maybe, get a good organization in my code. Also for the sake of her understanding it, because I'm teaching. Well, I taught her along the way as well. And so I had to write very clean code, very well organized, everything, a method does one thing, and a class, and so forth. I keep hitting my mic. So now I'm a fairly neat coder. If I look at the way I used to write when I, rebooted and started working on that, I looked at my own code and was like, oh my God, 8,000 lines. It's just one thing. Everything is in there in one file. And now I have everything split into little pieces, and it's all neat and clean. And so that's why I'm all happy now. And, so she basically made me a real coder.
Nice. I mean, yeah, I'm a big supporter of Michael Wolff and DB&W. Do you know Michael Wolff, by the way?
No.
I know very few. No, but he now when we talk about code, he actually he has this Patreon thing, and he actually showed coding on live streams and stuff like that.
Cool. Nice.
And it was, he is extremely structured with how he codes.
Yes. It's very helpful.
And he also wrote, this is actually kind of cool. He actually wrote the C++ wrapper for LightWave plugins or for LightWave. So if you code in, because LightWave is usually C, right?
Yes, it's the old legacy from the Fergus.
As was Messiah.
Yeah. So essentially, if you use C++, you can actually use this wrapper to then compile it to C, which is super cool. But anyways, code. Yeah, that's actually an art form as well.
100%. 100%.
It's actually, I'm not a coder myself, but working in the game industry for so many years that I've done, I have seen code, and I've seen very messy stuff, almost spaghetti, and then very structured stuff. And it's super interesting to just if you look at the code. You can actually see if this is an organized code or not, even though...
Well, when you can read it, exactly. When you can read it, it's well structured.
Yeah.
It should be like a newspaper.
Yeah, almost
headline,
like that.
Subheadline. First chapter. Yeah. No, really. And what we never got around to, but she's very excited about the idea of doing the unit testing stuff. That's kind of spooky, but yeah, would be good. Testing routines, where you organize your code so that you can test each individual function, whether it gets the right results or not. And it's a very clever way of going about it, but it also sounds horribly tedious at first. And I could imagine that one day this will be a second nature, and a good thing, because we are running around. You put your little input text on the side that real time show you what's happening to one variable because somehow the debugger doesn't help you, and then you look at that and you, what's happening? You're like, I don't know. What changed that? I don't know. Let's check. And the unit testing would make that very clear immediately, and this kind of stuff. But I don't know. And I am a very lousy geek. I only look geeky. I know very little. And I tell you this: when I was little, there was the Fly. Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. And he was asked how he does the programming, and he said he is sort of like, feels what the computer needs, tries to feel that, And to me, that resonated so much with me, and it just stuck with me. And that's exactly kind of how I code. I almost rather channel than coding, and I go with an impulse and try to pursue it. And before that, it would have led to spaghetti code like crazy, But now that it's structured, it actually makes it even clearer. I can even more clearly sort of channel what I want to write. And I can read it afterwards. Because I looked through my old code, I was like, what madness? How is this even? It can't be. And that happened all the time. And I wrote stuff, oh my God. Once upon a time for Messiah, I think I wrote an eye shader that would just, just a shading of an eye. Mm-hmm. It looks like a complete, kind of like a perfect eyeball with iris, with everything in it. Cornea, all the deformations. And it was all in one swoop. Like one swoop would go through all the, formula sections to just instantly create.
That's great.
And,
that's
nice. Cool. Yeah, now it would be an easy peasy real-time shader. And it was fast and too. Easy peasy. Easy. And but then the way I would write it back then, it was so organic. But that means,
Yeah.
You can't afterwards decipher what on earth it was. I mean, I knew because of the math, but just actually, it's a horrible example. But anyhow.
Sometimes with things like that, though, you're actually writing it experimentally. So you'll be like, right, I've got this part to work. Then I'll get this, right, I'll hook this into here. I'll get this bit to work. Right, I've got that bit to work. Oh, but that changes that. How I need to go back. And so because you're jumping backwards and forwards and you don't actually know where you're going.
And the point is when you have these little bits all in their places and they never get jumbled up with the rest, then suddenly you can remain in clarity. And that's the whole point. So you try to always, know what's happening where. That just almost eliminates confusion, I mean, to a large degree. Compared to the confusion it used to be, confusion never goes away. But there's that. And then there are stuff that you can't, it's difficult to handle, like numerical imprecision. When you do any kind of CAD stuff, flying double precision. Well, how dare they even call anything of it precision? It's double precision. It's funny. So you end up with funny things happening just because they fall in between the cracks of the precision of the processor.
I get that a lot in Modeler. I like to be precise, and you'll move a point to exactly one specific measurement, and then you'll hit info, and it's moved, and you're like.
And they quantize everything. And LightWave, a lot of stuff is heavily quantized, which is great and also sort of quite magical at times. Even when I put it on fine, all the stuff I had to figure out again. And it's all very recent, fresh memories. Yes. And so even then, it's still quantized. So you can easily move points onto points, kind of, when you want to merge stuff. But now I'm basically almost accidentally asking you questions. But the point is, wasn't there like a snap function at some point? Like a simple...
No, there is some tools that do it in the newer... David Ikeda brought in some tools and they've got some snap functions. Like there's a point move tool, but it uses the new object mode, which you probably haven't played with. And that can do, like, you can snap objects to faces, or you can move a point to another point. No, I don't think you've used the... They came in LightWave 11...
Hey.
I can't remember when it came in, but yeah.
No, it was LightWave 11 definitely, or 11.6.
You know how desperately I was looking for BG conform? Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then I found, I learned to scour the web, and I found this heat shrink or whatever they call it now in LightWave.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it works well.
It's not as good. There's what's the name of the Japanese Third Powers? You should check out his stuff. They're really, really good.
Are you talking about plugins?
Yeah.
Yes.
I demand this stuff to be in the software. Because I don't know how to get the plugins.
Maybe ask Andy, maybe he'll buy it, you never know. But seriously, the Third Powers plugins, I mean, I don't have them, I've just seen them. You can do real-time subdivision booleans.
Oh, that's neat. Interesting.
Yes, you can take like a subdivided object in another subdivided object and move them into each other, and they will real-time boolean.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah, it's like this should be in, as you say.
Yeah,
I really wish this was in LightWave, and it's very clever. If you watch the videos of him, check it out, because how it works out, like sort of you'll work out like the smoothing radius and things like that.
Neat. Yeah, no, that's very nice. Yeah. Well, for me, since I do not exactly intend to do any kind of modeling or 3D work that would. Maybe I will at some point model our little house here for remaining interior designs, and then things like booleans might actually be very, very cool. Yeah, but before then, I really don't intend to do any project work anymore, and for myself doing any sci-fi stuff. Just some organic doodles, and that's fun, and it's wonderful fun, and it's so addicting too. Jesus, makes you wait for us.
The funny thing is that, I mean, since you were away for so long from LightWave and you came back recently, going into modular, and for good and bad, modular hasn't changed much. It's added some few tools that Andrew mentioned, the new translation tools and stuff like that kind of work on higher dense meshes faster. But still, I mean, it's interesting that LightWave had a very good foundation that it can still rely on.
It was a trailblazer for what it does. An absolute trailblazer for what it does.
Yeah.
I mean, we rivaled like the SGI stuff, the big houses, the Industrial Light and Magic. We rivaled them with LightWave stuff. Yeah. I'm saying this, but yeah, suddenly even the lower budget movies would look fantastic, or would have the potential to look fantastic. So anyhow, yeah. But yeah, so no, we could do stuff like and LightWave was making that. Seriously, LightWave was making that possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so engaging, so artistic and fluid. I must say, I hope. It is fast to model with it, but the performance of the interface still it has some catching up to do. Because they seriously have to look at Blender and look at what it feels like, and I think they do a heck of a lot of stuff in GL that somehow is in LightWave still large part software, I would assume, and they use GL still rather for display purposes and not so much for these little processes, but it can be used and it makes a heck of a difference. So that is a very important step that needs to be taken. I'm sure of it. Like I'm not even saying maybe. No, it's this would catapult it forward again where it should be.
Exactly, and I know. I mean, Elmar has written in the Discord. Elmar has written in the chat many times that the long term is to essentially replace the whole code base in a modeler.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that they actually can start utilizing the modern stuff. Layout.
Let's just stick with the hotkeys.
No, but I mean, layout has, throughout the years, layout has been the part of the program that has gotten the most love for almost all updates. New render engines every few years, more or less, and things like that. But that's also important. But yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, because that was almost kind of like the Achilles heel. That's why we wrote Messiah. That was the whole thing, because Layouter didn't cut it back then. We're talking early 2000s. It just didn't cut it. And so then, and also the snappiness of the performances. In Messiah was insane, really, really good. And then I think that was probably what then inspired later on that focus on the Layouter, which was probably a good idea. I look at it now, and I'm playing with very fresh eyes with it now, and I love the shading concept. Like it's actually the same as a blend, but it's fantastic. I love it. I love it. I wrote the volumetric translucency right long before. No, actually, it was the same year the subsurface scattering was proposed. Yes, I wrote volumetric translucency. That's what I called it. I put it on my website back then. And that was subsurface scattering without the scatter part. But it was a subsurface illumination. And so, that was for me a part of my own pioneering journey kind of stuff. And and that we also had that and Messiah, of course. But now I love the implementation, how it is now in LightWave, if it wasn't for the rendering times, but it is just beautiful. And you can see it in the funny examples I gave you, that I used it obsessively, I think, maybe too much. And I don't know all the tricks yet, so that's the really bad part. That's why I feel so a little uncomfortable, because if you see that funny little alien thing, that was super old school. It was a bump map, no displacement, high res geometry. I made a low res model of her, but then I don't know, it doesn't matter. It's fluent. Very rainbow. So, and because I didn't have ZBrush, I would make a high-resolution geometry and then put it in Sculptris, where I then sculpted the morph targets, exported it back, and then did the background to morph in LightWave. And I did it with all these pieces. It's so fun. I mean, it was insane, but it was so fun. It was really, really fun. It's just beautiful work. It's very, very fun. Yeah. I don't know why, but when I was working with Messiah, and it was so heavy on the displacement maps with ZBrush, and all that. It was also very artistic, but very technical. And I probably at that point was also quite jaded about it. It's like, oh, whatever, naturally. And I don't know, there's something, about not having the tools to use, but making use of what you have, that made it so fun for me to make that stupid little alien. And so I did that. And then I made a flipping bump map in Blender, actually, because I didn't have a 3D paint program. So I was like, and I didn't want to go Photoshop and UV. Fuck that. And so it's like, Blender, hey, let's try this. And so then I did a bump map here. And that's it. It's super old school, but it's fun. I don't know. It's a nice little piece. I don't know. You haven't seen it yet, I suppose.
No, not yet.
It's just a little clip. It's nothing. It's just, 2 seconds. And then same with the other ones, also just 2 seconds. Yeah. And there I actually used displacement again and had to learn how to even use ZBrush again or remember. And it's just, oh God, that is an insane tool. And I just remembered that it was insane, but I didn't feel it anymore. And now I felt it again. So it's an insane tool. And they have a Sculptris version in there too, actually. Just today.
It's a shame that kind of Sculptris went away a little bit.
A shame? It's insane. It's the only 3D stuff I did in all these years. 13 years, I didn't touch any of the stuff except Sculptris. Except Sculptris. Because it is like a paint software. It is so easy. You just do it. You don't worry so much. Of course, you can crash, but that's not the point. It's just, it's just immediate and lighthearted. There's nothing attached to it, and you could render our depth images. And I did that quite a lot. Actually, I have some old examples I gave you in there too, and there are actually some Sculptris ones that I then rendered out depth images, took them into After Effects, which is what I use compositing. You asked me about software I use. And then in After Effects, I would use the Zborn Toy, which is one of the plugins that I started, and then Philip and I wrote together.
Oh, right.
and it is a real time.
Like another one I've heard of that as well. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh god, this is such an underestimated. Oh, we just revamped it. We just updated it to the new version, so it runs again, and put the price down because it was insane. I don't know. I didn't set the price. Anyhow, so it is a bit more reasonable, but it is still, even now, incredible because it gives you access in a way that I don't know how else you would get it. It's real-time shading, but it's beyond that. You have these caustics. You can real-time make, caustics effect.
Wow.
You can do anything. It's nuts, and it looks it inspires you when you play with it. And it's for people who see it for the first time, they probably get an anxiety attack. I understand. But we try to make it very neat. It has a lot of parameters, but when you get to understand what they are and they're neatly ordered, it's very easy to use. And then the sky's the limit. You can do crazy things with it. So, and unique stuff, not the kind of stuff where you go, oh, this is that tool, But you look at it and you're like, well, how the fuck did they do that? Sorry. Yeah. So how did they do that? And so that kind of stuff. And it's so fun to play with it, actually. Yeah. And we're still, we're picking it also back up to do some additional stuff improvements. And we're thinking about modular stuff and whatever. Yeah. But compositing is such a vital part of all of that.
Yeah.
And it's the whole idea of having your tools. You work towards the power of the tool you have. In LightWave modeling, again, I like the layouter now because I have nothing else, and Blender. I like the layouter now, and I love the shading in it, and I love the node-based. Finally, really nice. It's very decent.
Yep.
There are things that I absolutely cannot stand because they make no sense to me. Like, for example, when you put something in an input, why wouldn't you be able to say whether you wanted to multiply, add, why would you have to put that in a separate node? And then if you want a second thing to go into that same input, why would you have to make a mixer and then find what mixer? And then it is a little clunky, so that can still be improved because it can be much.
Yeah. So like when you drop a node over another node and it adds a multiplier and add, right?
Yeah, also like what I ran into quite a lot because I'm so used to modular work, from the synthesizers, to the everything I love to, the DAW I used to love is Moonlab, which is completely modular. Then I'm so used to modular work, even Fusion in Resolve. I just now started to play with it and instantly understood it. It's so pleasant. I mean, it's like, oh, wow, this is cool. And have them look at the Fusion modular system. This is freaking cool. It's very, very beautiful. But in principle, it's fantastic. It's like you can write your own plugins just visually, like stuff that previously was like very, you had to be a programmer. Now you can very fluently do that. And since I am a programmer, it makes it, I don't have to do that. So it's good. So that's fun.
Now that you've returned to LightWave, you are starting to familiarize yourself with it. And if you think about LightWave now, what would be the number one feature that you would want to see in LightWave?
The number one thing, and it's the most humble request ever, and we talked about it already, probably more lengthy than we should have, that is just a freaking consistent symmetry. That's all. Just that I can also work on that. And the number two feature.
Here we go.
Change the flipping lighting in the perspective viewport. I mean, I find it interesting that it's always, for 30 years in the same direction, for a long time. But, so many times I want to work in the light and not in the shadow. But because the symmetry only works in the shadow unless you have it face in, the other way. Yeah, you'll if you look at my modeling, I don't know why, but somehow I always have a face point toward me when I model and not away from me.
Okay.
And so you can only work on the shadow side.
No, because it's the way in which LightWave's designed.
I know, but it's just weird.
Well,
I don't know why.
Having a customizable lighting rig for modeler, there you go. That's really good. That's
what I'm talking about.
So when it comes to the community, I mean, you have been part of the community for a long time and you have inspired a lot of people. What do you think will help the community to be and stay positive, constructive, and engaging and energetic?
Well, there's a difficult time right now for all artists who are, who wish to really create, to express themselves, to, be able to realize their own unique, traits in their art. It's difficult now. The business used to gobble up artists and exploit them as normal. It's just the nature of it,
Yeah.
It used to do that, but now with the big AI coming along, it gets pretty dreadful, because now it will be much easier for them to find something they can exploit, but it will be difficult for artists then to naturally to get the gigs in a way. For a moment, because I think there will be a really big renaissance at some point, because people will notice the real art, real visions, there's a kind of integrity in a unique kind of style that can only come from a soul, really. I mean, it sounds really kind of, maybe, I don't know, trite, I don't know.
I was at a talk recently, and I was asked to, people that asked us to give good questions and you win a mug, and I didn't win a mug, but I still think my question was good, right? And that is, do you think that perhaps all of this AI might trigger the equivalent of the arts and crafts movement? Which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Luddites, I am.
No, so in the UK, in the Victorian era, there was a lot of reaction against all of the machine-produced
Luddites! Yeah, we're talking about the Luddites.
And so we had, we called it the arts and crafts movement. So they came along and they created lots of handmade goods, artwork, and everything. And that was massive, massive. And we've still got like a heritage of that in the UK. It was, it fills museums, all of this. It was beautiful.
That's the immortal stuff.
It was about stepping back and going, let's look at the creativity, let's look at the handmade things.
I love that.
And I think, to a certain extent, I think AI, while it's certainly a fantastic tool, people still go back to handmade things. You can go to the shop and buy a material that's made out of, that's just put through a loom and it's automated, but people still love handmade clothes as well, and the luxury items.
I think what it is that it makes now a space for idealism. The AI will make space for idealism, because that's the problem, where the business would take advantage of the idealism and basically almost suffocate it to some degree. And now with the AI, that will that exploitative stuff will go elsewhere, and the artistic idealism will have room again, and can be nurtured.
Oh, it's like the Lensflare.
Yeah.
Everyone put a Lensflare in the Photoshop picture.
Oh my god, it was funny. Oh my god! Once in the very beginning from LightWave, I had a client. It was a bank, actually. That was, and I made the bank building. And then I thought, I'm going to put a fucking Lensflare in there. They'll love it. And I put the Lensflare in there, and it's like, oh, we love it. It's like, oh my god, yeah, it's like great. That's funny, but that was in the early days, but it was hilarious. I was like, "Oh my god, I know they will love it." Funny, it's just people, but it's true. I mean, it's just amazing, funny. It's tough. We look at things differently, because we look at them from almost like a technical. But this is easy, and then and we sometimes don't see the beauty of it because it was easy. Somebody made up a little formula to just have like some stuff happening, and so, and everyone is going to use it, but everyone we know is going to use it, and all the people who know those people will see it, but there are billions of others who haven't.
Yeah, true.
And then when they see it, they also see, oh, this is beautiful, because it is beautiful. And when it is beautiful, let it be what it is, But anyhow, so sorry, did I break up something? I don't know.
No, absolutely not.
So with Midjourney, so what happens to me is my instant comparison when I saw the first crazy stuff with it was Spawn toys. I don't know if you know them. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Nope.
In America, back then in the whole visual effects industry, everyone had Spawn toys. You know, these elaborate toys for kids, which you pose. You know, they're very elaborate sculptures full of, you know, muscle creatures and monsters and whatever.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, and they look crazy. I still have a flipping trunk full of them because I was like, oh, how's life in America? Oh, you buy shitty toys. Let's go. And spend all your money on it. Yes, of course. That's how it works there. You know, I came out like a baby. But the thing is, you know, it's just oversaturated. I thought when I was a child, I would have probably gone crazy. But then it would have oversaturated me. I would have seen all these details, and it's just like, okay, what can I add? You know, it would have been difficult because it's so. It would have been. I think it would have been discouraging because, you know, we had the little tin toys and the little soldiers without flamethrowers. Actually, I had one. So yeah. So we had these, and you needed fantasy, you needed imagination.
Actually, I have an anecdote about that.
Oh, please.
I had a little tank, and it fired matches. Only we were supposed to put in matches that didn't have, you know, the end. So it flew out and it lit as it flew out and landed on my bedclothes. I'm like,
Oh, that's so funny.
Magical moment.
Yeah, it was only a very small burn.
Do it again, just point it somewhere else.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. That's so
that was
funny.
toys back in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it was like,
Yeah.
that'd be fun. What could go wrong?
And they needed imagination, and apparently they were fueling it too. So yeah, but yeah, so you needed to have, your mind was not filled up with details, with stuff. So you would have to fill in the blanks, and they would be yours, like reading a book.
Yeah, exactly.
You see your own images, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so funny because, you know, AI, the people, they love to use Beksinski's work. You know Beksinski, right? Famous painter. Crazy art, very influenced. Yeah, he did all this super detailed stuff, but the way he would make the details was organic to his idea of what this should have been. And if he didn't need the details, they wouldn't be there. You know? But when they're there, it's dazzling. But somehow, I don't know, when you looked at his stuff, it would still transport your mind into a place where you would fill in blanks that you did. But the AI, they like to use that style, take on that style. But then it's all, first of all, the details are meaningless. They're meaningless. It's details, nerdies, whatever shit, you know. And then and it's full of it, and it looks beautiful at first glance, but then you're left empty. It's like you know, watered down, you know, whatever, Coke Zero, I don't know, some weird stuff that has nothing in it, but supposed to be sweet.
Yeah.
And it's all kinds of stuff in there that shouldn't. Yeah. So AI is kind of like the aspartame.
So we talked a little about the community, and one of the things regarding the community, I think we need to have a new good forum where we can post and share ideas, so you know, people can, because right now we have the Discord server, and Discord server isn't really like a forum, a proper forum, right? It feels weird.
Well, that's not a forum. Point is, in forum you have, you know, you can offer gallery threads, which is a big incentive for people. I have it even on my Verve forum, you know, and that made such a big dent. You know, people would show stuff. For me, it was like flipping phenomenal when I saw what people started making. It's just unbelievable.
Oh wow!
And so everyone can have their own gallery thread if they want to. The important communications, important conversations, you want to be able to see at any point in time, and the forum offers that. In these chat things, it's just like it's all fluid, it's all, you know, it's fleeting, it's like vapor. But on a forum, it becomes like a dictionary almost, you know, and you can chime into old conversations if people still pick up on them, and they do, and I do. And, forum is a different platform. It's important.
Yeah.
I saw the LightWave Forum. And I thought, well, it works. It's a forum. I haven't spent a lot of time there, but
it needs work. It needs work, to be honest.
Yeah, but there's like I don't really. I have no I have no pride when it comes to these kind of forum code stuff, and I've used the standard. What's this called? BB. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of them.
It's just,
there are a bunch of standards.
Yeah. Nah. Oh God. Nah. PHP. BB.
But BB code is what you're thinking of, basically, where you would wrap your things in BB code.
Well, it's this, like a standard forum code you can use.
Yeah, PHP.
Exactly. That's the one I'm talking about. Bulletin board, PHP.
Yeah, PHP. Yeah.
And anyhow, genau. And this thing is a very simple thing to hook up, and then you can very nicely customize it. I made a little, carousel for it and a top bar inspired by the ZBrush Central stuff from back then.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever people would post great stuff, I would go, this has to go into the top bar, and it went, and then it's like an art gallery, and people are just as excited about it as I am, and then that creates a whole different kind of draw for good reason, because as an artist, the whole point, you want to share, you want to and it's not about, I know at ZBrush Central early on, I remember that vaguely, it was kind of like a competition, I want to get on the top row, it's like, just show your stuff, you don't have what's looking good in the top row, I can make this too. It's like, no, then just freaking relax, just do what you do, and don't worry about it.
Who would you want to see on this podcast?
Oh man, that is so sad, because now I've talked about it, but by the way, because I was just talking about Ron, but he passed away years ago.
Sadly. Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen him on the pod. I think he would have gotten a big kick out of it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you have a better idea about who's still around than I would. I don't know. I think everyone who had enough heart in it is a brilliant candidate. And
I heard William Vaughan being mentioned a couple of times.
He was an interesting guy.
Yeah. I hope he still is.
No, absolutely. What is he up to anyway? I
don't know.
Because I'm looking for I was actually looking for LightWave tutorials, and felt like, my God, yes, but let's do it. So I looked for LightWave tutorials on simple stuff, because I just didn't know it anymore. And I always get his freaking tutorials on stuff that is ancient. I don't need this.
But they still work. That's the interesting thing.
Still in Florida?
I don't know, actually. I have no idea where he is now.
Dave School, was that the name?
He's not with the Dave School anymore. I'm not sure that still exists.
Yeah, I wonder. That would be commendable.
I think he was. Yeah. I'm sure he was working with a shoe company in New York. The last time I remember reading about him, I'm sure I've got a. Yeah.
But no,
he's so busy. He's always doing something amazing.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a really sweet guy, and he showed me around at Dave's School then, because I came for a visit. I was in Florida for a different reason, and so. But then we hooked up. Oh, I wonder. There were a bunch of times where I went there to Florida. I mean, and then and he showed me around, and it was really, really sweet. I liked him. But we never had a whole lot to do with each other. It was a different thing. I mean, it was on a different... I don't know, it sounds all wrong, but I did, visual effects work for, these great, big, flipping, whatever productions, and he would do Dave School. It was just neat, it's sweet. But it was a different kind of stress level. And so I was pretty preoccupied most of the time. But anyhow, I liked him. It was very, very nice.
So thank you so much, Taron, for being on this show.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, dragging me into the scene again, as you promised.
Thank you all for watching and listening to this month's episode. Be sure to tune in next time so that you don't miss out on all the goodies we've got for you. In the meantime, if you have any news stories you'd like us to know about, you can reach us in the comment section or send an email to lightwavedigest@gmail.com with the word news in the subject line. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, share and comment. Your engagement is really important to us, so thanks in advance for your support. So until next month, always light the wave.